Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weeknights. I am JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on today, so also rear view mirror.
And I'm Dash, aka Dashing D, aka the realest king of R&B, aka cool grandma, but not really. You know why? Because I need to be in bed. I don't need to be asleep, but I need to be in bed by 10. So, yeah, that's me. I'm here. It's lit. We got lots to talk about.
Oh my god. Okay. Yep. See what kind of day it's gonna be.
So, let's get started.
Yep. So we spoke about Ari Lennox leaving social media, but also dropping a new record.
Yep,
And that new record came out on Friday. That
did
record is called Smoke.
smoke.
And there's a video, and we watched the video,
Interesting video.
and we have thoughts.
We do have thoughts. I fear my opinion will be unpopular.
Say it ain't so.
Well, let me start with this. In moments like this, I wish I always yearn to go second because but okay. Ari sounds great. She sounds amazing. The sound of the record is amazing. I love, I love that. I love the sound. I think it's wonderful. I think she sounds wonderful. I think the video is interesting. I see what they did. Um, so, I feel like whenever people do videos where there's actually a theme and they're not just like standing in front of a car or something like that, I appreciate it. So I appreciate the visuals, definitely. Um, Felt like the song was a little cheesy, to be honest. Um, the song itself was a bit cheesy. I understand the message and I feel the message too. I just kind of feel like low hanging fruit. This was cheesy, but it sounds wonderful. I come up here, I just want to say this. I come up here and, I keep it fluffy and I keep it light most of the time. And I talk about how it sounds good and they look great and this and that. And I don't do too much on the lyrics, usually. But I mean, allow me it's not that I don't listen to lyrics. It's not that at all. I do listen to them. And I feel like this was kind of cheesy. Do I think it's skillful I read something where someone said, everybody can't curse on a record and make it sound good. That is absolutely true. That is so true. Was it skillfully done? Absolutely. Does she sound amazing? She sounds amazing. You know, is she doing her thing? Does she look good? Does she sound good? Are the visuals good? Yes. Was everything that was supposed to be done right done right? Yes. Do I particularly like the song itself? Like when we start pulling apart, okay, fine. I like the beat and I like her voice and I like this. But yes, there is a piece of breaking down whether you like a song or not that is lyrical.
Yes.
And I don't care for the lyrics. I think it's cheesy. I just
Why do you
don't.
think it's cheesy?
I think the sentiment is fine. Like I get it, and I think our fun little colloquialisms that we use when we talk to each other is perfectly fine to use in a song. I just heard it and I was like, "This is what this is."
Okay.
There's another artist who has a song where they talk about zero being how many fucks they give, and it's kind of the same thing. Like to me, I mean, this is a better song, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like it's not like the words aren't that great, but the song sounds great and the person sounds great, and that's it. I just didn't care for that. I felt like that was cheesy, but you know, more power to everyone who I'm sure loves this uh brand of song. I just I love the way it sounds. I just wish she was saying something else, or or using different words to say what she said. I just thought it was kind of corny.
All right. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's okay.
I'll get cursed out in the
I
comments, and it's fine.
I understand what you're saying. In fact, when I first heard it, the day it came out, I was like, "Oh, is this what this is? I'll listen to this another time.
Mhm.
I don't I don't want to hear all the smoke." And I'm an old man who really does not like to use all of the euphemisms. And let me get a little bit closer for y'all. I feel like some of these terms have been run down to the ground. And so I understand your sentiment, but I think it's a great record. I think this is a less lyrical, more fun single. And this is her first single in a while. This is her first single from the new project, whatever it is that's coming. And I feel like this is the light and fun one before we get something else. And I think that's okay. I agree. It's not the most lyrically heavy. It's not the deepest record ever. It's actually a very fun, light record. So I understand everything you're saying. But to me, that's what makes the record fun. Because the lyrics actually clash with the sound if you really pay attention. But I
That's
think
where I
that's what
got
makes it
lost. I
work.
was like,
Yeah, I think that's what makes it work so well. In matter of fact, it made me think of um Amy Winehouse. I was like, oh, okay, I feel you. And so I think this is great for those reasons. I think she took the two opposite things and got them to have a great marriage. And then
maybe
the
I'm just not
video
used
is
to it.
maybe what?
Maybe I'm just not used to it with her. Like maybe it's just I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. Listen, even if you came up here and said you hated the record, that's your right as an American citizen. You didn't say that. I'm just saying, even if you
Yeah, because I
did
don't
and you
hate
came
it.
up here and said, I absolutely hate this record, that's okay. We can feel the opposite. That's why platforms like this exist.
Of course.
And so I think the contrast in the record is great. She looks great. She sounds great. All the things you said, I agree totally. I just like this record. She said, try your mother, try your father, try Jesus, but don't try me.
It felt like a
Then
skit.
she said it again with a high note.
It felt like a skit. It felt like like a musical, like a
Yeah,
movie that was a musical, and I don't like musicals.
but that's why it made me think of Amy Winehouse. Because Amy
Yes,
Winehouse would do stuff like that sometimes.
yes, but that's why I'm saying maybe it's just that I've never felt that way about Amy Winehouse, where I'm like, I don't like that. So maybe it's just
So you
because
saying that you don't accept it because she's black?
I'm saying I don't accept it because she's Ari Lennox. This is the same person who gave us Shea Butter Baby and
The
Pressure.
range.
And you know what? And I love an artist with range. I don't ever want to, and I come here and I say that all the time. I don't ever want to be the person that says that artists should not have range. I don't think that's true. They should absolutely think outside the lines. They should. So this is fine, and that's why I gave credit to listen, if we had scorecards and one was for sound and one was for beat and production and one was for, then I would be able to rate everything else high
But
except
the
for
lyrics.
but the lyrics. I just don't care for
Okay,
them.
I
I
got
think
you.
they're
That's
cheesy.
okay. Well, that's why I asked why, and once you explained, I got you. I understand. Yeah, she's using the phrase a lot. You know, but I also think, knowing what we know about her sobriety journey and her leaving social media allegedly, that this is all tied in together. She mentioned she's sober now and she's with the shits. And now, now I can handle y'all, which I think is also ironic because you're saying that as you're leaving social media.
Yeah, I thought that too.
And so I thought
Or
all of
as you're
that
leaving
was
alcohol, it just seems like opposite of.
right. And so
It
I was like,
seems
oh,
like
this
you'd be
is
more
great.
zen, but
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm ready now.
which is fine. I don't. Again, I don't. I'm not here to knock her. I'm not here to say anything bad about her. But I am here to be honest and tell the truth. And I thought it was cheesy, and it was just
Got it.
like, oh yeah, this is where we're going.
I think we'll get plenty more from Ari that you like, that her core fan base likes. Excuse me. And I even think her core fan base will like this record
Oh, me
because
too.
she has other light, fun records. Um,
She
I just think
does.
I think this is just the first single, and this is that type of record. I think the second single, third single will probably be different. I think this is a good comeback record for Ari,
Mm.
um, and I enjoyed it. Look
Also,
forward to what else Ari has coming.
me too. But we also live in a world where you're either a fan or you're not. You can't not like a song. So
Oh no, fuck that.
I'm sure, I'm sure all her fans love it
No, fuck that.
because you know how it
You're allowed
goes.
to not. Yeah, but fuck them for that. I know I don't stand in that. I don't stand in that.
So
I am a huge Jay-Z fan. I do not like every song that Jay-Z has ever released.
because we're human beings and we're not going to like every single thing. It's just like the people you
No.
care about or you like. There will be things that irk you about them. It doesn't mean that you love them less. It just means that it's a thing that irks you about them. Like it's not. I don't know, that whole thing gets on my nerves because it's like we can't.
Yeah,
Are we
and
all
there's
one
also
person?
nuance. There's also nuance. Like the same way you're saying you love most of the parts of this record, I feel that way about a bunch of songs on Blueprint 3. I say that all the time. Like I love the song Reminder, except the hook. I hate that hook with a passion. But it's such a great record, except for that dumbass hook. It's a great record, and I wish, man, if they just didn't have a hook at all, it would have been probably the best record up there. But that bitch going reminder, reminder. I hate that shit with a passion.
I
I'm
knew you
sorry
were
I'm
gonna
calling
do
her a bitch.
it.
I don't know the woman. I apologize. It just in the moment of aggravation, I'm like, why is this bitch singing reminder and just holding the R? What the hell is that? Why
I,
did Jay-Z allow this? Hove, what were you thinking? I love the record, and anytime I want to hear it, I have to stomach. I won't do it again, but
Thank
that
you. I mean, listen, I'm familiar with the fact that you do not like that hook. I knew
hate
you
that.
were. I just knew you were gonna do it.
Hate it with a passion.
Anyway,
Really
yeah.
grinds my gears
Well, those those gears and that grinding, um,
because some things are just bizarre,
like Harper's Bazaar.
like Harper's Bazaar. You see that, folks, ladies and gentlemen? That's called an alley oop. It's when
Hmm.
one person lightly tosses the subject to the other person, and the other person receives that and slam dunks that motherfucker.
Yeah, and Kendrick Lamar is on the latest cover of Harper's Bazaar,
Yep,
and
by himself.
by himself, it is only the fifth time that a man has been by himself on the cover of Harper's Bazaar.
And it
So
hasn't happened in a long time.
that is historical for the magazine. Um,
They good over
also,
there? Everything?
they're doing They're doing work in they're doing work next door. So all I
Ah,
hearing is like drilling and sawing and whatever. So SZA, one of our other beloveds, SZA interviewed Kendrick Lamar for Harper's Bazaar.
the homie.
Yes. So apparently, he said that he is more communicative and more comfortable when he has a connection with someone. So he asked that SZA interview him rather than
And if you want the interview, gonna say
right.
yes.
So it was basically supervised by a writer at Harper's Bazaar. She wrote the intro, but SZA is the one who actually um, asked questions and had the conversation, which I thought was pretty cool. And uh, the writer from Harper's Bazaar does say that in the article when she writes the intro to the article. She says she can tell that there was. I'm saying she. I'm not sure. I think it's a she, but um, she can tell that there was an energy shift when SZA walked into the room versus when she walked in.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's his people, so it's
That's why I
understandable.
said, yeah, the homie.
Yeah. So, and I think they were doing. It sounds like they're doing a movie together or something like that. That's coming out at some point. So she immediately walked in and made a joke with him and all that. Y'all can read it. Um, but yeah, so she interviewed Kendrick. She asked him about not like us. She
That's what's
asked
all
him,
over the internet.
yeah, yeah, and he basically explains what, the whole idea behind Not Like Us means. Um, what do you
And
think of
and
this?
well, I didn't read the article, but I know some things.
Right. So,
I know he said that he hates to admit it, but he's been crying a lot more lately,
hmm
getting in touch with his manhood, his vulnerability.
he said it's part of growth.
It's part of growth. And then Scissor asked him, this might seem like a weird question or something, but what the fuck does not like us mean?
hmm
And he says basically, it's a song that is for people like me, people who live like me or something like that. And he said, she says, well, what does that mean? And he starts saying all these good traits and that sum up to a man of integrity.
hmm
Traits that the other guy, his opponent, has been said to not have.
Right.
And so, once again, Kendrick is busting shots.
Yeah. I'm trying to find that part.
I think it's cool that he had his homie interview him.
hmm
Um, I mean, I think we need both. Um, that article has started a conversation online about who should be interviewing who. Should journalists be interviewing people? Should peers be interviewing people?
hmm
Um,
We've seen both happen in the past.
yeah, I think we need both. Or rather, I think both are okay. I don't think it should be one or the
Yeah.
other. Yeah, as an artist, it's cool to sit with Dashing D or one of my other friends and talk about the music that I have coming out or whatever project. That's cool. But I think that there's different questions going to be asked by
Yeah.
different type of people, right? And so if Elliot Wilson sat down with me, Elliot Wilson is going to ask very different questions than Dashing D. Does it mean that Dashing D is incapable of being a journalist, of digging deep and asking certain questions? No, it does not mean that. But there are different questions that are going to be asked by different types of people. And I think to get the full scope, we need both,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
agree.
so because the conversation has become, should artists be sitting with their peers? Should basketball players be sitting with their peers, etc., instead of journalists? And I think both are helpful in different ways. I think your homie is gonna ask you about some shit that they know about, some shit they know you probably want to speak about, some shit that they could get from you that someone else cannot. But the journalist is also going to ask you questions that are more niche based
Mhm.
and are going to come from a different angle. And they too may ask questions that make you dig deep in different ways, right? And so, no, your homie is probably not going to ask you, okay, Jay, who's your top five? And sure, that's a question you're going to hear a lot in a hip hop conversation with a journalist. But a hip hop journalist is also going to ask you about things that they're not going to ask you about if they're your friend, marketing and the process of making the album and the
Yeah.
transitions that you're making and your career and what made you do certain things. Your homie may not ask you those questions, not because they're incapable, but because they're looking at this more as let's get into the nooks and crannies of the artist to artist thing, right? If I sit with one of my peoples who do music, they're going to ask me some very specific music based questions,
Mhm.
especially if they know, hey, this is largely to speak about the project you have coming out or the single you have that has a buzz. They're going to ask different questions than, hey, what's your relationship with so and so? They're not going to ask you that, not because
Well,
they're incapable, but because they probably are looking at things from a different lens. And I think we need both. I know this is really not the topic, but this has become a byproduct of this article. There's this new thing that's, oh, should we be sitting with each other or journalists? I think both is my answer.
I think it depends on what the publication is trying to, or the show, or whatever it is trying to do. Um, I think that this is unique in the sense that he asked for this specifically because he felt like he would be more honest with someone he was close to, someone he
You
had
believe that?
a rapport with. I don't know. That's what he said. So it's what's in the article.
No, I
So
understand that.
I'm going off of that. I personally I don't know. I don't know a lot about him doing interviews. So I don't have anything to compare it
I think
to make a decision on that.
I
Um
think it's true that you're going to be more comfortable with your friend, but I also think as Kendrick in the position he's currently in, this was a bit of a shot call. This was a bit
yeah,
of, oh,
of course.
if you want to sit with me, this is how it has to happen,
But also, yeah, you might be more comfortable with your friend, but the point of an interview is not your comfort.
which is why I
So,
think we need both.
right, because yes, I do think that there are, especially when you're a certain caliber of celebrity, that you're afforded certain um,
Luxuries,
leniency. Your leniency is based on what you're willing to say and not say. I think the more um, up there you are, the more you can dictate how things go, or what you're willing to say and what you're not willing to say. But at the same time, journalists are seeking fact. So they're not always going to ask you the comfortable questions. They're not always going to ask you things that make you feel nice and fluffy and fun, but they're also going to ask you things that are serious, that are deep, that actually, and journalists are also going to look for the angle that maybe no one has found yet.
right?
So I agree with you. I think both are okay. Um, I think in a publication like Harper's Bazaar, I could understand why Kendrick Lamar wants to be interviewed by
SZA.
SZA. However, what I will say is what we need to be careful with is taking opportunities away from journalists of color, because I think that's also an angle that should be explored in moments like this.
Right.
Because yes, there's a difference between the way we tell our stories and stories about our own. So I know when Beyonce was on the cover of Vogue, she was very intentional about she's Beyonce. She was able to be a lot more involved. but there
Right.
was a lot of intention behind who would take her photos, who would write the article. And
Right.
I think we have to be I think artists have to be celebrities have to be open to it being a journalist who will do right by who they are and
Okay.
act with integrity and yes, write a story that is based in fact, but also like I don't know, because this could have gone very differently, and this could have been like this was very much about like energy and what do you think about this, and I like it. I like the conversational nature of the interview, but it would have been a different interview if a journalist had done it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the journalist is not going to ask you to explain "Not Like Us" so you could keep dissing Drake.
Well, but a journalist may ask you to explain not like us, but maybe for different reasons than why SZA. SZA was the one to ask that. You know, I
I
think
don't.
they
I don't think it would have been done in the same way. She
probably not in
asked
the
him, "What
same
does
way.
it mean?" And he
Yeah.
said, basically, people who are like me, and if they're like me, the song resonates with them. It probably would have been left right there.
Well, he said this. He said, well, she said, can I ask you a hypermasculine question? You can also tell me to shut the fuck up. What does not like us mean to you? Which I didn't totally understand why that was a hypermasculine question, but and he said, not like us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. Now, if you identify with the man that I represent, and she said, break the man down for me. He said, this man has morals, he has values, he believes in something, he stands on something, he's not pandering. He's a man who can recognize his mistakes and not be afraid to share the mistakes and can dig deep down into fear based ideologies or experiences to be able to express them without feeling like he's less of a man. If I'm thinking of not like us, I'm thinking of me and whoever identifies with that. And then she starts to ask him about, she basically says that people think he's angry. And she says that he's an angry person. And she says that she's never found that his energy was coming from an angry place. So they start getting into that about whether he thinks he's angry or not.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know who thinks he's angry. I don't think anybody ever thought that, but okay.
but
Point.
that's
My
kind
point
of the
was that.
point, right? Go ahead.
Right. No, I was going to say my point is that I don't think that second question was going to be asked by a journalist. I think that's your homie giving you the space to, yeah, go ahead, shit on dude some more.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I guess at this point we'll never know, but like I said, I think it's okay that it's conversational and it's more familiar between the two of them. I think that's fine. I think I would also very much appreciate watching or listening to and or reading. I don't know why I couldn't get there.
It's
I
all
would
good.
also enjoy reading an interview between him and a journalist who asks different questions. Um, I think that would be just as interesting as this was. But I think it was well done, and the images of him are great. Um, yeah, so listen, he is riding high right now, and good for him. He's getting ready for the Super Bowl,
Yep.
and it is fastly approaching at this point.
Yes,
So this is great. This is great.
I agree. And I think that's our show.
That's our show.
All right,
Bye.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Ding.